Yes. It is the CastWorthy podcast, and we are back at you today. It is what is today's date? It's Sunday. I know that. Sunday, September 19th. Man, this month fucking flew by, man. Um, Shit's moving, man. Life is moving. I'm Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine. Got a two-man game today, myself and the VP of Research. Here to get to you guys, just talking about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, anything noteworthy, or one might say cast worthy. And that's what we're here for, man. So we did a lot of chatting in pre-production, VP. How's things been going for you this week? Anything new? Anything crazy? Let's get right into anything political. I know there was some, but not much, and I really would like to hear about how the insurrection junior went yesterday.
Yeah, man, they had that what they call what up, by the way. They had that
what they do.
They call it a justice for J6 rally. So justice for what they're coining as political prisoners, the people who were in jail up in DC after the insurrection or whatever. From the reports that I've seen and read, the rally was basically sparsely attended. A couple hundred people. I've seen numbers that went anywhere from like 400 to 700 people. I mean, think about there was like 20,000 people there back the first time. So,
yeah,
it was very low attendance. Arrests weren't too high. I've seen they said they had a couple guys who got arrested who were from Texas. I don't even know if they were together. They just both happened to be from Texas. I think somebody reported they saw them with a gun. And so when the cops showed up, because you're not allowed to have guns in DC, when they ran them, both of the dudes had warrants out of Texas. So of course, they went to jail. So, which I don't know why you would why are you traveling out of state? You got warrants, but anyway, so yeah, you had stuff like that, minor infractions, nothing too crazy, which I didn't think things would get too crazy this year or this time, only because the Capitol seemed to be prepared. They had the fencing up already around the Capitol and the Supreme Court. The National Guard was on standby. They activated all of the DC police and the Capitol police. So they seem to be ready this time for these guys. They already had their riot gear out, loaded for bear with pepper spray and things like that. So, there were arrests, but nothing wild. Things didn't get out of hand. But the thing that I enjoyed the most about it, I don't know if you watched that video I posted in the chat when I put watch to the end. So I'll find it and repost it. But there's this black chick who's like in the crowd of these Confederates and shit, and she's talking her shit. And this white woman reaches in and pulls her mask down. This black chick talking some shit to them. This white woman reaches in and pulls the mask down. And the black chick turns and looks I guess to make eye contact with who did it. And then all of a sudden you just see BOOM! I mean, that shit looked like a fucking an Ali blow, dog. And
I gotta watch it.
So some of the insurrectionists push her out of the way, and they go drag her over to the cops, and she basically tells the cops this bitch pulled my mask off, whatever. I was defending myself. So of course, she didn't get arrested. And then later they get a camera on the chick, and you see her shit just all bleeding and shit.
Oh my god.
She fucking cracked her, dog. Oh my goodness.
I gotta get back to it. I gotta watch it. I did see when you posted it, but I didn't watch it. So I'm gonna check it out. It out.
I was like, yo, I mean, that hand, that shit looked like she had training, dog. Cause she
Man, so I saw some posts from a bunch of different sites that I or accounts that I follow on Twitter and stuff like that were basically saying, it was a failure and things like that. And from what you're telling me, it sounds like, sounds like a failure. Sounds like, I mean, I get it. Listen, you're trying to get your point across, and you're perfectly fine to do so. You're perfectly fine to get out there and do it. But I guess they probably expected it to be something like January 6th, and didn't quite work out that way.
Right. Yeah, like they I mean, at the end of the day, you still got people who participate in January 6th who haven't even been arrested yet. So you probably have motherfuckers who were like, I ain't going back to DC. They ain't found me yet. So I might be good, And on top of, the law enforcement being ready this time, that's part of what happened last time. Like some people think that it's possible that they were purposefully not ready. Or maybe they just, weren't ready for real. You know what I mean? But this time they seemed ready where all of the police, nobody was off on PTO, and then like everybody had to report in. You already had the National Guard on standby. You know what I mean? They had National Guard in DC on standby, and from reports I saw, the Maryland and Virginia National Guard too. So it wasn't going to go down the way it went down last time. Like kind of like Fat Joe, like yesterday's insurrection is not today's insurrection.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So so that I think that was part of it. Also, you got a different administration in town, whereas things seem to be delayed and because it's like Trump wasn't approving National Guard to come through, et cetera, et cetera. That wasn't going to happen this time. So they probably made the correct choice and said, let's not push our luck and end up getting shot. People make a big deal about these folks who they're doing this and they're doing that, and it's like if they really tried to go about it, like they're going to be facing a military. They're not going to be facing, guys down the street, shit, and I don't think they want the smoke.
Right. Yeah. I just think, I think people have kind of gotten a better understanding of where we are. People, they'll get tough and they're strong on social media and behind the computers and stuff like that. But I think people are kind of getting to the point where it's like, all right, people are being held accountable for their actions now, not to the level that we expect them to, or we want them to be held accountable, because some of these people are getting off pretty light, but still accountability nonetheless is showing up. And I think, that makes people double think it. And so while they may have landed at 400 or 500 or however many, there was probably a good 1,500 that were thinking about it, and about 900 were like, you know what? Nah, I want to go to work on Monday.
Right. And also, like if you watch the video, it's only like a minute long. But if you check it out while I'm talking or whatever, I bet the chick who pulled down that black chick's mask, that's probably not the first time she reached into a crowd and grabbed somebody's mask, But some things are learning experiences,
Like you learned today.
Right, you gonna learn today, because I bet she won't pull down nobody else's goddamn mask over. That chick, I mean, when you see it, she. Woo.
Yeah, that's no. She's trained somehow. That punch was too clean.
And then just fast forward some, and then when they show the chick, I mean, you see her shit like she just gushing blood, like that shit. I was like, yo, I bet Becky won't pull down no more goddamn masks. She gonna think again,
She had a jacket with some kind of patches on it, which is making me looking to try and see what kind of patches those are. But but yeah. Plus, you got to think too. A lot of these people are the anti-vax. Oh my God, she did get split open. Oh my God.
I was like, yo, I saw that shit. I'm like, yo. Like that shit looked like I'm watching Floyd or something. That shit was so clean, yo.
Yeah, it'd have been me. I'd have been on the SpongeBob. I'm gonna head out. Her nose was, man. But a lot of these people are anti-vaxxers, and so and so, right? And what I learned yesterday is that a lot of the states and airlines are beefing up pretty strong on the travel requirements. So like, looking at tickets to go up north or whatever to see family, or to send my mom up north so she can see, chill out with her friends for a bit and stuff. And you have to either be fully vaccinated or tested within 3 days in order to fly into New York, and likewise coming back.
Yeah.
So so they're getting a little more strict with that. And I would assume that these people, if they're either you're going to drive, or if you're not vaccinated, you're going to drive, or what are you going to do? And you probably don't want your name on papers flying into DC or anywhere close by if you're going to go and potentially start shit after what you see January 6th, how they're tracking people down. Technology is a bitch. So either way, I'm glad there was no major casualties. And you hate to see it. You hate to see that they would support something like that anyway, but it's good to see that there was a small turnout and it didn't turn bad, because it really could have.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's just to just think about that. You had people who literally attacked the government on January 6th, and then now you have folks showing up in support of these people who attacked the government, and I don't think it's lost on anybody that these folks call themselves, like they're America first, basically, where you have people who literally attacked America, and you're going up to a rally to support these. Like, are you kidding me? Yo? Like, that shit is just, it's crazy, man. It's so crazy. But the other thing that kind of was happening in politics, which I think is kind of be a good thing for us to talk about, is where this podcast kind of blends a little bit, is you had political in entertainment that kind of crashed this week with Nicki Minaj on the vaccine joint, yo. Did you see that?
I did. I did. Saw it all over the place.
Yeah.
For those who aren't familiar, Met Gala was this week. And you saw a lot, I'm sure people have seen that. People were dressing up and stuff like that. A lot of celebrities. Nicki Minaj came out and stated she's not attending the Met Gala because they require vaccinations. But then she went, and had she ended there, good to go. Hey, I'm not for it right now. I'm not going to do, or I'm not vaccinated. She didn't even have to say I'm not for it. Just say I'm not vaccinated. Can't go. Sorry, right? No. She wants to come out and say, I'm not going because, in Jamaica, a cousin of mine. Trinidad, rather. A cousin of mine was aware of somebody whose testicles swelled up significantly due to the vaccine, of course, because I'm sure, there was a doctor or physician somewhere, highly proven, that told them, the vaccine, you shouldn't have got it or your balls wouldn't have swelled up, and so she got, obviously she's mini Beyonce, where she has a little hive, a little what do they call them?
Her people,
Barbies,
the
Barbs. Yeah. And of course she had them get around her, and her people, they protested in some areas. I did see some information about that, but she got killed a lot in a lot of places, because, she made statements throughout the week talking about, if Malcolm X was here, he would be questioning and you guys would be supporting him. Like, bitch, you are the furthest thing from Malcolm X, right? And you had, you just had people kind of questioning, her logic when she's got all types of, body adjustments that have been made in the glutes, in the boobs, her face, like all types of, that type of stuff. Did you question that type? Did you question that? So how'd you feel about her, about her comments? I'm sure you probably heard something from, no. Go ahead. I'll let you have it. Because I know your sister-in-law is kind of a Nicki Minaj fanatic. Did you have any conversation with her about it?
Not with her, but how I didn't even know about Nicki saying anything. How I found out about it, I was watching one of my political news shows, and Joy Reid, who's a host, she's a black woman who hosts a show on MSNBC, and she was ending a segment talking about the vaccine, and right before she went to commercial, she was like, and Nicki Minaj, she was like, sister, for you to use your platform to spread disinformation, I'm like, wait, what? So like I didn't know this had happened. The next day, that clip went viral, and then Nicki came back at her on Twitter, calling her Uncle Tomina, kind of like Uncle Tom, but for a woman, and
that's as creative a rapper can get,
right? And so they had this like back and forth on Twitter, and then Nicki started saying like how the White House reached out to her, and she was supposed to go have a meeting with Joe Biden about the vaccine, and then reporters started asking the White House like, yo, is she supposed to be coming to have a meeting with the president? And they were like, they didn't want to like throw cold water on her like that, because I think they want to try to use her as like an advocate to help people get vaccinated. So it was just like, we reached out to her people, and we were going to allow her to talk to one of our doctors to answer her questions or concerns about the vaccine. But at this time, there's no meeting with the president, that kind of thing like that. Really, they probably saying like, yo, pump your slow it way the fuck down.
Yeah,
like,
let's relax. Let's relax.
So but yeah, you had all of this shit happening, man. And it's wild. I just thought that it was incredibly dangerous for somebody to use a platform as big as she has to spread vaccine disinformation. Like you said earlier, if she had just said, oh, I'm not going to Met because I'm not vaccinated, it could have just been left at that. But to go out and talk about my cousin, my cousin's friend in Trinidad, like how many of us have heard a story about, my cousin's uncle's sister's baby daddy, and we laugh at shit like that. And this is what she's using as her evidence against the vaccine. And then also, to your point, this is somebody who's gotten multiple body enhancements, right? Did you ask them what they put in that shit before they injected it in you? This is a person who recently had a child. So I'm pretty sure they gave her multiple drugs when she gave birth, right? Were you asking all these questions about, hey, what's in this spinal tap when they numb them to when they start pushing and shit? You know what I mean? What's in these drugs that you're giving me for pain or for whatever? It's the same shit Stephen A. Smith was saying about the athletes, and he was like, if I hear one more athlete talk about not knowing what's in the vaccine, when you take all these fucking supplements and all these different medications and shit like that, but it's just this one thing you got all these questions about when you've never had questions about anything else, it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, all of a sudden you have questions about what's going in your body.
Right.
So she got killed in a number of places.
Rightfully so.
She did, absolutely. And one of the people that came out and said something, I ended up posting the audio, was Azalea Banks.
Okay.
And Azalea Banks, I'm going to play it real quick here.
Women that have died or been, had to have their legs amputated or body parts amputated because of black market butt injections. Why do we not have Nicki Minaj questioning that?
And she went on and she made some other statements and things like that, right? And that's the reality of it. That is the reality of it. It's one thing to just be spiteful. It's one thing to even just, if you truly are like, what, it's my choice and I'm not into it right now, that's fine. It's the spreading of the misinformation that is the biggest problem, because you do have people that are on the fence. You do have people that are actually, especially for her, are followers of hers and supporters of hers and look up to her, kids included, that are going to make their decision based on what Nicki Minaj says. Right. Why? Because they don't know Dr. Fauci. You know what I mean? Dr. Fauci, why am I going to listen to a 90-year-old guy? Look at Nicki. Nicki's living her best life and she's a millionaire. Why wouldn't I follow what she says? Right. So,
and we know how people equate, wealth with intelligence, and so they will think like, oh, she's Nicki Minaj, she's rich, she probably got the best doctors in the world who have told her, this thing is not safe. You know what I mean? And when she found out about her cousin's friend in Trinidad, she probably asked her doctor, who's one of the best doctors in the world, and so I can roll with that, because like you said, they don't have access to these people. And then what's also really bad about it is that in Trinidad, the health minister came out and had a press conference where he was saying they were, because in these third world countries like that, they don't have access to the vaccine like we do, right?
Right.
And
right.
so, you probably got people over there who, one, they don't have a lot of access already, and then you probably have people who are mad hesitant because it's more people of color and things like that in those countries, and he was like, they wanted to run this shit down to find out what happened so they could try to, one, help this person. Two, if it is legit, they need to get it like documented so they can see if this is a real concern. They need to be like remember we had the issue with the Johnson & Johnson with the blood clots. We need to see if this is a real issue so we know, how to treat it, how to tell people if you have this, and this, maybe you shouldn't get this particular vaccine, all those kind of health measures, you know what I mean? And he was like, when they looked into it, it was bullshit, but now we have this health minister of this small country, right, using up resources that are limited to run down bullshit. And these are your own people.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, the what took place this week with the Pfizer booster. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. So basically, Pfizer submitted a request to the FDA to give booster shots to anybody who was age 16 or higher. And whenever they do that, the FDA sends it to, they have an advisory panel who are like a bunch of scientists who work outside of FDA. They review it. They review all of the documents and things like that. So like when people be talking about, they rushed this thing. One, these are people who are experts in their field, right? Pfizer submits 50,000 documents of evidence that they used in these studies to say why we think we need a booster. These people review all of it front to back. You know what I mean? And then they get together in a public meeting. It's not something that's done in secret. You can literally watch the live stream of it when it happened on Friday. They were basically meeting from around, it was like 10, 11 in the morning until like 5 o'clock at night when they made the decision. You're not going to be able to follow it if you watch it. Cause they're talking like straight up science shit. Like you watch it like what? Like,
yeah.
But the shit is live streamed, you know what I mean? And so they voted 16-3 to reject Pfizer's request to add booster shots for people 16 and above. Then they went into a second discussion. The second discussion only lasted a couple of hours because they had already discussed it completely for those hours and hours and hours, like I said. And they thought that the evidence did support boosters for people who are aged, I think the number was 50 and higher. I'll look it up while we're talking, but extreme
medical issues and compromised immune systems. Yes.
So they did that. So they didn't reject it outright, but they basically amended it. So so that's what it is for right now. And then this is an advisory panel, so it's not like they make the decision, but the FDA normally goes with what the advisory panel says. So it's very likely that this will be the decision. But that's where things are for right now. And a lot of this is based on Israel does like a lot of tracking of people when they get cases, whether or not they were vaccinated or not, whether it's a breakthrough case, etc. And so a lot of the data that Pfizer is using in the request that they sent to the FDA is data that they're getting from Israel, because Israel does probably like the most tracking of any country that's using the Pfizer vaccine, including us. And so that's where they got that data from. But the FDA said no, or the advisory committee said no.
Yeah, and one of the things that I read about, which is important and noteworthy in regards to this, is that a piece of the decision, or part of the decision when they were handing it down, was that they don't feel that a booster at this point would change the direction of the pandemic more so than saying, and I think what happens is people get caught up and they feel like because someone says no, we probably shouldn't do it, they're saying it's not safe. And it's important to note that that's not what they're saying. They're saying that it may not be necessary, as it's not likely to change the trajectory of the pandemic solely because we still will have so many people who are not even getting vaccinated. So that's a big piece. And when I read some of the headlines and I read some of the antis and, the Republicans and stuff, and they're posting their headlines and their memes and shit, You know, they leave that piece out, you know. And it's tough because, again, you're welcome to your opinion, but just make sure that your opinion is supported by facts and that you're spreading information that's factual versus just what you think is right and the way that you might have perceived something, especially when it comes to, you know, people's health and, you know, well-being.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, man. And I just looked it up. They the booster, they approved it for 65 and above for people who are at risk of severe COVID. But yeah, man, like you said, man, people need to read beyond the headline, because what you'll see happen is people use any anecdotal evidence to basically say this is why you shouldn't get the vaccine. Somebody who got the shot also got COVID, and it's like nobody ever said it stops you from getting COVID. It just makes your experience of having COVID a lot fucking better, and we've all seen the statistics. We talked about it here on the cast and chat, and of them showing hospitals are like, oh, we got, 200 cases in our hospital. Of the 200, it'd be like 185 unvaccinated. The other 15 are vaccinated. And then of the people on ventilators, we got 30 people on ventilators. One is vaccinated. All the others are not. This is what the vaccine does. It basically just teaches your body how to fight the shit, and you get a better chance of surviving it. I mean, you think about all these people, celebrities or not, that we've seen who've been vaccinated, who said, oh, I got COVID. Yeah. My nose is a little stuffy. It felt like I had a bad cold. It wasn't, or people who were just straight up asymptomatic. I didn't feel anything, but I knew I knew I tested positive, so I stayed home, but other than that, I was good. And this is the point of getting vaccinated, so that way your body can deal with the shit and deal with it, and you have a better outcome than you would without it.
And your cells are somewhat aware of it, and so it can fight it before it mutates inside of you, making it worse. Right. So I feel like I've been pretty lucky. I'm knocking heavily right now because I'm still not out of the huge window. But I mean, I went to the Cowboys and Tampa game last week, right? 50,000 motherfuckers, Floridians out there, right? And I'm pretty good right now. I got a little cough, but I don't think it's from that. I think it's more because the kid was in school and they fucking got germs galore, but no other symptoms. So there's that. I traveled probably 3 times in the last couple of months since being vaccinated, through the airport, stayed in multiple hotels, right? And big areas and stuff, and been pretty lucky, to say the least. And I feel good about it. And I do feel like it's partially because, one, I mean, I'm eating a lot cleaner and, working out and stuff like that a little more. But, obviously the vaccine, I think it played a part, is the only reason why. No, I mean, I masked up and I took precautions as necessary, which no one's saying you don't do if you're vaccinated or if you're not vaccinated. But adding that additional layer of defense, I mean, makes me feel a lot better, and clearly, it worked.
Exactly. I mean, and that's all it is. It's just another layer of defense, right? And you think about all the things that you said, right? You're exercising, that's making you healthier. You're eating better, that's making you healthier, right? You're wearing the mask, so you're helping yourself not spread it by wearing a mask, and potentially not get it because you're wearing the mask. But just in case those measures don't work, I also got this last line of defense. Or not even the last line. I have another line of defense, which is the vaccine. And then I guess the last line of defense would be like your own immune system. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm putting all these things ahead of my, it's kind of like when you watch like those old school like movies, like back in the horse and sword days and shit, when they would have like the infantry guys up front, and then behind them you got the guys on the horses, and then behind them you got the guys with the catapults and shit like that. You got these different layers of defense. And that's all you did, just added one more fucking layer of defense. And it's a pretty good fucking layer, the vaccine, you know what I mean? And to your point, doing all the things that you've done, the travel, going to the game, etc. I felt the same way like you felt. My shit was on a smaller scale, but I traveled some over the summer for my kid to go to tournaments and shit like that. And we're at these tournaments that have hundreds to thousands of people, not 50,000 like at a football game, but you may have 2,000 people or something like that. And there were times where I went in and it's like, oh shit, I didn't even got my mask on. Like, but I'm not super worried because I'm vaccinated,
Right.
And
and if I get it, I'm not going to die.
Right. Once I realized it, boom, I popped my mask on, and continue the day. But, I'm not super tripping because I'm vaccinated. I believe in the vaccine, and I haven't seen it work personally for me. However, I watch the news and I see it working. You know what I mean? I have a colleague that I work with. I won't say her name, but she got COVID. She got COVID 2 weeks ago when I was out on vacation. And I came back. I saw the email like, oh shit, she's back at work now. And she's like, yeah, we like, how are you doing? She was like, oh, I'm okay. She's like, I felt like I had a bad cold. She was like, when I would go like up or down my stairs, I felt a little winded. She's like, but other than that, I was all right. And she literally said when we were talking to her, she attributed it to being vaccinated. So
yeah, I had a friend likewise, he had it and had cold symptoms. So
right.
Listen, man, it's worth it. Like I said, don't judge anybody who chooses not to do it. I mean, I do judge them, but I'm not gonna unfriend them. We can still be friends end of the day, but you just got to make decisions to stay safe. And that's that, man. Anything on the political front that's major hitting right now that it needs to be touched on beyond that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Biden's, like I said, he's last week, they're getting more aggressive on vaccinations, where they're going to start trying to mandate these things that like they tried to, the carrot and stick approach, where it was more carrot, all these incentives, please do it, please, please, please. And now they're kind of going more stick approach, where we're not asking anymore. Like you're going to start being voluntold. So, so you got that. They're still working on that infrastructure bill. I don't know how. I mean, it's just Joe Manchin doesn't seem to. I think this guy's just literally trying to screw Biden over or something. I don't know, because he's all over the place. This week also they talked about that child tax credit that most folks get on the 15th of the month. The Biden administration wants to ask Congress to extend that into 2025. There's other Democrats who actually want to make it permanent. Joe Manchin doesn't seem to be for permanent. He's willing to talk about extending, but he also wants to talk about the caps. So basically, like what the thresholds are to get it, like they did with the stimulus, where it ended up coming down. So we could see that happen in the next few months. And since I know you're going to ask, nothing on student loans so far. Again, the usual suspects like Warren, Bernie, those folks. This week they've been pushing, but the White House is still trying to review Biden's authority to do this. And it's like I said a couple of weeks ago when they did the student loan forgiveness for people with disabilities, which was something like 300,000 folks. If he believes he has the authority to do that, why doesn't he have the authority to just do normal or not?
Just normal, a blanket.
Like, blanket. There you go. I think if they're practicing politics, as part of his performance, you know what I mean? And 2022 elections are coming up. Maybe they wait until 2022 to do this, and then it helps. Elections have consequences, right? And then you can sell young people on getting out there to vote. Look at what we're doing for you. You know what I mean? But Biden's a Democrat, and Democrats don't tend to do shit like that, like strategically. They tend to shoot themselves in the foot. They tend to be more Plexico Burrs instead of AB.
Right. Yeah. You got to be, and also I think there's some thought behind that and some truth to what you're saying in regards to hold it to year 2, 3, or 4 potentially. But I mean, year 1, you got the Afghanistan thing that happened, and then this week you had that what came out, and you're more well versed than me, but I'm just gonna remind you of it so you could talk about it. Was the dude that got the car that got 10 people, right? And as we know, it's probably not, the bigger calls, the huge calls, the huge strikes probably come from the president, right? But he's going to get blamed for the small strike that somebody, there's probably right? You keep me honest, right? There's probably a general somewhere, 5-star, 3-star, 4-star, whatever, in a room that says, hey, target's here. They're not saying, hey, pick up the phone, call Joe. Let's make sure, right? Because it's not a large scale thing. It's a small target, might have some there might be a threat, neutralize it, right? Again, keep me honest, but he's gonna get blamed for that. Dems are gonna get blamed for that, for those things. And gotta have the ace in the hole, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Like most of these things, most of these drone strikes that are happening aren't being approved by the president each time. They're happening, a few rungs down the ladder, right? Maybe at the Secretary of Defense level, maybe at some general somewhere at one of the commands or something like that. Like I remember back when the U.S. killed Anwar al-Awlaki, I think is how you say his name. He was one of the guys who he was like radicalizing people on the internet, and they did an airstrike against him. The reason that Obama has to approve it is that this guy was actually an American citizen. He left the United States, went to, I think he was in Yemen, I believe, if I remember correctly. And he was also with his kid, who was also an American citizen. And so they needed to send that one up to Obama because it's like, it's not like we're killing some guy from Saudi Arabia, like with bin Laden. This is an American citizen we're talking, and some people didn't like that, including myself. I'll put it out there, and me and my wife debated it. She's like, he's a terrorist. I don't give a fuck, da, da, da. And I'm like, okay.
Sounds like Aaron.
I was like, I hear you. And, I get it that he's a terrorist, right? He's also an American citizen who's afforded rights by the Constitution. You know what I mean? Every single right that me and you have to due process, he has. You know what I mean? And we've had one single person, not a court, not a jury of his peers, basically say he's guilty and signed his death warrant. You know what I mean? And that airstrike killed him and his kid, and the kid was like a teenager. I mean, he could have been radicalizing the kid, I assume as well, but you know what I mean? But I think people just look at it like terrorists, so fuck them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I get that, but this guy was an American. I mean, he didn't act like he was an American citizen. I'll put it that way. Right. But to your point of what you're talking about, this was some guy. I think he said he was like an aid worker or something like that, driving in a car with kids, and they killed like something like 10 people, like 7 kids and some adults and things like that. And they thought that this was the person who was behind the bombing in Afghanistan that killed those 13 U.S. troops. And Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut came out this week and was like, everybody's up in arms about this, as they should be. He was like, people need to realize that based on the intelligence that they see as being members of Congress, that these drone strikes that we do, we're missing the person we think we're getting like 80% of the time. I mean, the drone strikes are highly accurate. They're going to hit whatever you aim them at. It's just that is the person we want to hit in the place that we're aiming. You know what I mean? And that's the problem there. But to your overall point, though, it's not usually the president that's approving these kind of things. These people already have authorization to do so. Finding out who approved it is actually the real tough job, because since 9/11, the CIA has its own drone program and the Department of Defense has one. So sometimes just figuring out, was this a CIA kill or a military kill? That's like, that's a mystery in itself,
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, he's got to keep the ace in the hole. And I'm sure more of this stuff is going to come out. The military execution is at the forefront right now. And, why be realistic with it? And, when you can try to, make it a political thing like every fucking thing else that's going on right now. So
right. And that's like, I don't know if you saw the thing I posted in the chat when on Biden's schedule, right? And they put out his weekly schedule, and there was an event that was like at 1:00 in the afternoon or something like that, where he was going to be talking about the economy. And you look at previous administrations, even the Trump administration, as chaotic as it was, when you would see things like this, it would just say like 1 p.m. president delivers remarks on the economy, and then that's kind of it, you know. And for them, they put out Biden's schedule, and it's like 1 p.m. The president delivers remarks on rebuilding the middle class, the backbone of the United States economy, and how to give everyday working Americans a fair shot. You know what I mean? Because to your earlier point, when we were talking about the vaccine, you got people who don't read beyond the headline, right? Mm-hmm. And so maybe I doubt there are many. I'm a political junkie, you know, so it's probably why I'm looking at the president's schedule. You know what I mean? But most people aren't looking at the schedule. But them making that change was a story by itself, right? And so you might have people who see that story, people who are just living their lives. They wake up, get the kid dressed, drop them off at school, pick them up, cook dinner, go to bed, repeat the next day. You know what I mean? So maybe they caught the news where they said today the president was giving remarks on, you know, the backbone of the U.S. economy and making sure the little guy gets a fair shot. And people are like, this is why I fucking voted for this guy.
Yeah, that's my guy.
So
that's him.
Messaging matters, you know what I mean? And so it could be, you know, holding off until the time is right to make the most political use of it.
Yeah. We'll see, man. We will absolutely see for sure.
And also, and one last thing on this thing, and think about it from this standpoint, right? When he does it, he may sign. I don't know if he can do this or if he will, but he may sign it and say it was effective, you know, June. And then you get back, you know, a refund of anything you paid up until that point or interest and that kind of shit like that. You know what I mean? Which is, and then that'll be something else that people be like, that's my guy. You know what I mean? So it could, you never know how this thing will go if it ends up moving forward.
Yeah. I'll give you a little spoiler alert. I ain't paying shit right now. Listen, they ain't requiring it. It ain't going. You let me know when it's required again. You get that shit back. Till then, nah, I'm good with that. But yeah, man. So yeah, listen. I mean, before we get into the sports things, you've been watching anything new?
Yeah, I checked out 2 joints. One of them you probably seen already. I watched the Malice in the Palace joint on Netflix.
Ooh, yes. And, we didn't talk about that, but yeah,
I liked watching that only because like I saw the fight when it happened back in I think it was 2004, but I didn't remember seeing it from all these different angles like they did in the documentary, as well as having people talk about like the backstory. Because like even for me, like I remember Jermaine O'Neal as a player. I didn't remember Jermaine O'Neal being bouted like that, like the way they showed in the documentary. You know what I mean?
Right.
I thought he was just like a straight laced guy, you know. And also back then, you know, I was in the military back then, and I didn't know that was around the time when that happened, when I was deploying and stuff. And so I didn't know that Pacers Pistons was kind of like a little mini rivalry. Like they were kind of the best 2 teams in the East. And, you know, I didn't have like all that little context like they put in there around the fight. So I saw that, thought it was a great documentary. It's only just over an hour. So if anybody wants to watch that, if they haven't seen it yet, let me know. And then I also watched that movie, Reminiscences. It's on HBO with Hugh Jackman, the guy who plays Wolverine in the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
On that one, it's about they're like in the future and they have this machine where they can like go in people's memories, and people use it for like if they had like a spouse that died or something like that, they can go back and like relive like this moment in time or whatever, you know, and they can they'll record it and give it to you, and that way you can kind of remember the person so you don't lose that memory or whatever. And so he ends up meeting this chick, and then she disappears, and he has to start like using the memories to try to find her or whatever. And so it was pretty good.
What's it called?
Reminiscences. I can't even say the fucking word right. Reminiscences. You get it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm not saying it right. But I watched that, and then I also started watching The Circle. I mean, I tried to watch a lot of reality TV. So when you first said it was back, I was like, I'm not even gonna watch it. And then every day I see it like in the top 10 of Netflix, it's like the shit was just calling me. So I started watching it. I watched the last episode I saw was the one where they voted out the black dude.
Oh, you watched this season?
Yeah, this season. I had already seen the first 2 seasons.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that you watched it.
Yeah, but I was saying I was gonna stop watching it, but I got back on it. So I watched up until they voted out the black dude this season. So yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
What about you?
I've been watching The Circle. I'm caught up on it right now. They're doing weekly releases on Wednesdays. The cast that they have this season is not my favorite so far. The individuals that they have on it, but it is interesting. I like they're putting the different spins on it versus what they've done previously, which was pretty cool. And I have to assume that if they've done that kind of stuff so far, there's probably going to be even more. So I like that. That part to it. I'm still on the startup. I'm just about caught up on that. There's only 3 seasons of that. I know I talked about it last week, but it got better. Like Ron Perlman is in it. I don't know if I talked about that, but the guy from Sons of Anarchy. And I like him as an actor, and I didn't know he was a producer on this. He's a producer on it. And I also didn't know that he started on Broadway. And I think
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, right. So I was just, something told me, I'm like, let me have a discussion with a friend of mine at work, look up this guy because we both like him a lot. He got to start on Broadway. And I think he's a very good actor, and I think that partially is why. But I think for the most part, those are the 2 things that I was able to get to this week. That show that you're talking about sounds or that movie sounds interesting, so I might have to definitely check that out. But yeah, Malice at the Palace, I thought that was good. I thought they did a very good job on that. I love Ron Artest when he talks about just life in general. I love Steven Jackson when they talk about life in general because they give it to you raw. They don't hide the bullshit. And to your point, I don't remember Jermaine O'Neal being that kind of hothead guy coming out.
Yeah.
I also didn't even remember he was that young when he came out, because when when people talk about high school athletes, they talk about D-Rob, they talk about LeBron, of course. There's the big name ones that they talk about. They don't talk as much about Jermaine O'Neal, and I had completely forgot that he was a high school athlete. So and then also, like you said, the extra camera angles, and it was good, and it was also nostalgic, just kind of understanding what took place and the rivalry behind it, and how the fouls happened, right? Where they said Jamal Tinsley, stupid motherfucker, clearly doesn't know much about the hood, went and told Ron Artest, all right, go get yours now. You know what I'm saying? You told the wrong one that.
Tell Ron that,
right, of all people. It's a bunch of other motherfuckers, but not Ron Artest. That's not the one.
And then having that context, like Ron Artest talked about, because I remember when that was happening and all the stuff, when he, I remember him leaving to the BET Awards and him trying to do that rap album and all that kind of shit. And I remember at the time thinking, yo, this dude is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And he just seemed like another one of those cautionary tales of these people who, throw away all these millions of dollars, and in the documentary you learn he's already in therapy. He's literally telling them yo, something's wrong. I need help. I need to get away. And they're like, fuck that. You under contract. Right. And so and it kind of also it kind of shows you where the league has come, right? Because we've seen people like Kevin Love, who has kind of been the ambassador a little bit for mental health in the NBA, at least. I won't go as far as to say sports, but he's talked about taking care of yourself, mental health. We look at the love and support that Simone Biles got in the Olympics, that Naomi Osaka has been getting in tennis, when they talk about mental health and needing to check out for a little bit to make sure they're good. And then you juxtapose that with this Malice in the Palace documentary where they're saying Ron Artest is telling them, I'm in therapy, I need help, I gotta step back, and they're like, fuck that, you're in the contract, you're gonna play. You know what I mean? And all of that shit led to that fucking fight,
Right. And it's crazy how Ron was saying, basically, he was like, listen, I laid on the table because that's what the therapist told me to do. Yeah. Therapist told me to count. So I laid on the table. They thought I was taunting. I laid on the table because I was counting and trying to, keep my cool. Yeah. And, and they took it as me taunting and being cocky. And then here comes the drink, slow motion. And and then it went off, and it was good to also hear from the story of the guy that got punched in the face.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, yeah, you deserved it. You deserved it.
Yeah.
You came down like these is big motherfuckers, 7 feet dudes, 6'8" dudes. You gonna come out on the court like, I mean, listen, man.
And even from the other side, from the Ben Wallace aspect, I never had saw it reported that he was dealing with the death of his brother.
Right.
His brother had died, and then he's back in the game, so he's probably already not in the headspace. And then this shit happens. You know what I mean? So you got Ron Artest, who's having his mental health issues. You got Steven Jackson, who just seemed like he's fucking about it, ride or die. Jermaine O'Neal's basically the same way. I just didn't realize until watching the documentary. And then on the other side, you got Ben Wallace, who's dealing with the loss of his brother, who, even if he's good, if he's normally in a good headspace, you don't know where he is now, just because, losing somebody, especially if the person's really close to you, that shit can fuck you up. It messes with your decision making and shit like that, and so that whole thing was just like a fucking powder keg, just waiting to blow, and
ticking time bomb.
Yeah, basically.
I do remember them talking about Ben Wallace's brother dying, but I don't remember hearing about that until years later. It was before the documentary, but it was years later. But yeah, man, I mean, that was a good one. They did a great job with it, I think.
Yeah,
so
I definitely agree.
If you're a basketball fan, go out and watch that. Sports fan in general, go out and watch that. There's a lot of history there in that.
And unlike most documentaries, it's not super long. It's just over an hour. So they do a good job of giving you all that backstory, and then boom, they get to the incident, and then you start seeing the incident from multiple angles. They're bringing in not only the players, they talking to the refs who were there, the cops who were there, the fans who got beat up. One person who was like in charge of ticket sales or some shit. They were saying like how they actually were planning on taking away dude's season tickets that night because they had trouble with him in the past. So you're kind of getting this thing from multiple angles, which I thought was very good to kind of get a full picture of what happened.
I kind of wanted more, when it did it, and I'm like, oh, it's ending, so, and it was pretty funny that the guy that threw the drink wasn't the one that had to deal with the ass whooping. He dealt with the consequences, otherwise, but he didn't deal with the ass whooping. He's all those like, whoop. What me? Typical, man.
Yeah.
Typical.
Yeah.
Last week 1, we did our picks. You had 9, I had 9, EJ had 8. We all picked Washington. I didn't tally E's from last week. He did send his this week, so we'll get him added this week as well. But real quick, what was a takeaway for you from week 1?
Week 1, man. One takeaway is that I thought your Cleveland pick, or how you thought Cleveland's going to do well in the AFC. I really thought they would just get the shit kicked out of them by KC. But they held their own, and basically, they should have won that game. But I mean, KC is a juggernaut. But I think it bodes well for your prediction. But I also think that you're gonna have to go. The AFC is gonna go through KFC unless there's like injury or something like that. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the time to show, like, hey, we here now. And them losing that game, I think is not good for the future. But them holding it down for so long, I think it is a great step in that direction. I thought Trevor Lawrence. I actually watched that Jacksonville game. Because the Dolphins didn't play until 4, so I watched that Jacksonville game. I thought Trevor Lawrence, he looked worse than a rookie. He looked bad. Like, his footwork was bad. I mean, I get it. This is his first game in NFL. You know what I mean? So it's not like we expected
against starters,
right? But I didn't think it would be that bad.
But they did play Houston too,
right? So yeah. So I think I watch this space. I mean, again. Rookie first game, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? But I didn't like what I saw. And then just for the home cooking with the Dolphins, I also didn't like what I saw as well with, you got a team that basically has returned almost a full defense. They've added offensive talent. We spent a shit ton of money, and we basically had to scramble to win a game against the Patriots, who were starting a rookie quarterback with, a team that's been, depleted, and we had to struggle to win that game by 1 point. I picked us to win. I didn't see us struggling to win, so watch this space as well, especially with the news continuing that, Deshaun Watson is out there, and it seems like his only place he wants to go is Miami. So I think every time Tua plays bad, you're going to start seeing these Watson stories.
Yeah.
Why they don't go get him? Why they don't go get him? So at some point, you would like to think that the ownership doesn't back down to the fans, because we don't always know. We're fans. We watch. We're Monday morning quarterbacks.
Right.
But at the same time, these are people who paying the salaries. They're buying the tickets, the jerseys, the hot dogs. What I mean? So he better be careful. What about you?
Yeah. Cleveland, they imploded, and I saw somebody this week. I forget who it was on one of the shows I was watching. They said the AFC Championship is the Kansas City Invitational. Like that's where we're at right now in the AFC. I forget who said it, but I think it was
I like that.
Yeah, I think it was it might have been Nate Burleson. Or it was either Nate Burleson or Chris Carter, because they were both on the show, and it was one of those two. So yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Makes clear sense. But Cleveland could have gotten that game. They should have gotten that game. Takeaways, man. One, from week 1 and from Thursday night's game, I don't know if Saquon Barkley is going to turn out the way people expected him to be. This guy is a freak of nature. He's huge. He was fast. He can catch the ball. He was able to make cuts and stuff. I don't know that, after that injury, and of course we're only 2 games in, we have to see some more. And, he did kind of come back quicker than they originally projected, but he's, he missed almost all of last season. He's looking bad this season. He ended up injured the first season as well for a string of games. He's starting to look like almost a Greg Oden of sorts. A guy that has all the talent in the world. Came out. Everyone expects the world from him, a la Greg Oden, who got chosen before Kevin Durant. And injuries. So that's one thing for me there. Just on the home front, on the Cowboys, came out this week, NFL, and this is what I always tell you. I hate when the NFL says, or NBA, or any team sports organization says, oh yeah, we might have missed that call. I hate it. I fucking hate it, because there's nothing you can do about it. In every sense, I hate when they do that. I'd rather they just shut the fuck up and let it go. But that came out on the Cowboys and Tampa Bay game with the push off of Godwin. But just watching the news on the Cowboys this week, it's going to be tough, man. We lost a lot of defensive players this week to injury, to suspension. We lost someone to suspension. We lost DeMarcus Lawrence, which is, that's our premier defensive player, one of our premier defensive players, potentially for 6 weeks with a broken foot, maybe even longer, because he's a big guy. So one thing that did come out today is they're going to try Parsons at DN, which could work or it could hurt. He's never played it, but he is fast, and if he can get off the, if he can get off the line quickly, he could, he can make a difference.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. So, but it's going to be a challenge, and for us, and I'm fully prepared for an offensive shootout season. So that's the takeaway for me. For the Cowboys, and the last one, this is going to make me almost bite my fucking tongue. And hopefully it's just for 1 week, but Jalen Hurts looks better than I thought. He looks a lot better than I thought, man. The Eagles might have a little something there with that kid. Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he played last year. This year, he's had the benefit of a full camp. Last year they didn't really do camp preseason. They didn't have any preseason. So he's got to work with his guys now for a good off season. So you kind of expect that for a returning starter. That's kind of what I was expecting to see with Tua, and it's actually what I thought I got. I don't know if you saw any of that Dolphins game at all, but Dolphins come out. They won the toss. They defer. So New England gets the ball. They get like one first down, and then we stop them. They punt. Tua gets the ball. Man, they march down the field like 90 yards. I mean, it looked like it was nothing. Run, pass, run, pass, option. It just looked great. I'm like, yo, like, okay, I'm ready this year now.
We might be onto something.
We get the ball back again, and I'm like, yo, where's the team from the first series?
That's
what happened to those
man.
guys? What happened to those guys? Like it just. I mean, it was like watching two different. It was two different teams basically. So I don't know, man. They got work to do, but I definitely felt catfished watching that first year. I text my brother, and because my brother was driving back from Miami, he was like, "I'm gonna be home in time to watch the second half." So I'm kind of texting him, letting him know like what's happening, and I'm like, "Yo, this first drive, bro, we gonna be a problem." And then the second series, I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, what happened? You guys have a huge game today. We're gonna end up getting to that because we're gonna go through our picks here. But that before we do the picks, we may as well just start there anyway. That Miami Buffalo game is a big one. You guys are both 0-1 right now.
We're 1-0.
I'm sorry. You're 1-0. They're 0-1. Buffalo didn't look that sharp. It's kind of what me and E were saying this year is at the draft is, Josh Allen had an amazing year last year. It was like that year that Peyton Manning threw the 50 plus touchdowns. And then the next year people were like, is he going to be good? Yeah, he's going to be good, but is he going to be 50 touchdown good? Right. And I think the same thing with Josh Allen is I think he's good. I just don't know if he's going to be what we saw last year, especially now people can scheme for Diggs. They didn't really do much in the way of getting an additional wide receiver, to take some of that safety coverage off of Stephon Diggs. So it makes it a little challenging for them. And their running game is still not solidified with Zach Moss and Singletary. So I think we see a little bit more today out of them. You guys play a lot of man defense, which will keep the defense facing the line, which will give an opportunity, I think, for him to get loose. And we'll get to see a little bit more out of Josh Allen from his legs this week. But it's a huge game for you guys this early in the season. Week 2, that could be 2 divisional wins to start the season. Big morale booster, like the champions of the division champions from last year. Yeah, man. Yeah, and you got the Jets in New England play today, don't they? So you got your whole division is playing today. So there's a lot going on, man, in y'all division. But so what do you think? What do you think on your team? That's actually, is it a 1 o'clock? It is a 1 o'clock kick.
1 o'clock. Yep. Yeah, it's a 1 o'clock kick. And I think we're at home if I remember. Yeah, we are at home. Yep. This is a home opener for us. I think I was expecting us to have Will Fuller this week. It was reported that he was going to be coming back. He practiced this week, and then something happened, and he left. Flores basically was just saying, we're supporting him while he's dealing with this, but they're not saying what the issue is. So I'm thinking it might be like some kind of mental health thing or something like that, because he's not on like any COVID rosters or anything like that. So, I don't know. I would feel better if Will Fuller was going to play this week. But I think defensively, like you said, we can scheme for Diggs. There's not really that other receiver that we have to necessarily, account for. And I think that would allow us to play man and kind of load the box, put more pressure on Allen, maybe spy him or something so he can't run. But yeah, I expect this game to be big. I think the division winner is playing in that game. It's either going to be Buffalo or it's going to be us. And I think for us, kind of to that point I was making with Cleveland KC, I think this is the point to kind of set the tone. You know what I mean? To put the division on notice that we're here and, we're coming for the crown, basically. You know what I mean? And, I hope that we can get it done. And weather-wise, we should have that going in our favor. It is hot as fuck in Miami. I watched the Hurricanes game yesterday, which was a goddamn embarrassment. But
Disaster.
They played Michigan State, and them boys at Michigan State, like before they started kicking our ass when it was still close. I mean, they look like yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, cause it was hot as fuck. And I don't know if you know this or whatever, but when they built the Miami Stadium, the Dolphin Stadium is actually engineered in the way that is the angle that it sits at. It sits so that way the opposing team is always in the sun the entire game. So from the start of the game, the home team,
their side, their sideline
on the Miami sideline is always in the shadow. Even if the sun is like at peak, it's always in a shadow. But for the visitor team, it's always in the sun. And until the sun goes down, they're completely in the sun the whole time.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
But yeah, man, I hope I want to get that game. I want to set a fucking tone. And I think this game is the perfect way to do it.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. We'll start in your division. That's the first one on the list. We got the Patriots, and they're going into the Jets.
I'm gonna go with the Patriots on this one, man. I think watching Mac Jones last week, he looked good. Like, especially looking at him and Trevor Lawrence, like it was like night and day. He looks like he is ready. I don't know if he's gonna be some great quarterback or be the guy to replace the GOAT. But he looks like he is serviceable, and serviceable is enough, when you're dealing with two rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, two rookie quarterbacks. This is going to be, I think it'll be an interesting game to watch, but I think it comes down to coaching. Saleh is still young, and Belichick has probably been all over the tape from last week to watch homeboy from the rookie from Jets. I can't remember his name for some reason right now, but
Zach
Thomas? Wilson. You got it. Yep. So I'm going New England on this one. E sent his pick in. He went with the Jets. But he's an Eagles fan, doesn't know shit about football anyway. So there's a great chance that's why he did that. The Broncos going into Jacksonville.
I got the Broncos as well. Even though I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a nice bounce back again. Rookie playing his very first game, so you kind of expected him to be shit. But I didn't think he was going to look that bad. But I still think the Broncos get this. They got what's his face over there?
Teddy.
There you go. You got a quarterback with starting experience. You got some years in behind him. He's a veteran, so I think that they get it done.
All three of us are on Denver. I'm on Denver. He's on Denver. And you are on Denver. So the next pick that we have is the game we just talked about. This is the Buffalo Bills 0-1 coming into Miami to see your Dolphins, who are 1-0. 1 o'clock kickoff.
I'm going with the home cooking, man. I'm going with Miami. This should be home cooking for real because it's going to be hot as fuck. So that's definitely in their favor, having the September game in Miami. Yeah, I mean Buffalo, they're the team to beat in the AFC East, and I think we got enough to beat them.
E went with Buffalo. You're going with Miami. I gotta go with Buffalo, man. I'm just not sold on Tua just yet. Like I told you, it's still the left-handed thing that bothers me. And maybe I just don't like left-handed people, but my mom is left-handed, so that can't be it. But yeah, man. I gotta go with him. I gotta go with Buffalo. I feel like Josh Allen's gonna come out and try and make a statement this week, and it's fully necessary. San Francisco. We saw a lot. We learned a lot last week about San Francisco. Raheem Mostert went out for the year on IL. What people thought was going to be the backup running back is not the backup running back. Became Elijah Moore. Fact check that. We saw Garoppolo, who won the game, but both touchdowns were Trey Lance that they scored. So Trey Lance had a throwing touchdown, he had a running touchdown, and Garoppolo he didn't throw any touchdowns last week, and they won. So interesting. But San Fran is going into the Eagles, who Jalen Hurts looked good last week. What you got?
But I'm gonna go with the Birds on this one, man. I think, especially coming off of last week, big time win, big play from Jalen Hurts. I think they look to capitalize on that, and I say this all the time because it's true, And if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. So, and so that's where San Fran is right now. And I've never been a believer in Garoppolo. My brother has tried to sell me on him for years, and I'm like, I don't see it. I think San Francisco got fleeced in trading for him and giving him all that fucking money. And they seem to think that because they drafted Trey Lance. You know what I mean? So, I just don't. I'm not. I think the Eagles get this, man.
Does he gain any brownie points with you for smashing a porn star? Never mind.
Not the one that he smashed, but
yeah. If it keeps going, all right.
I think there was some great talent out there.
Yeah. So I've been. I'm sure there's tons of talent out there. I've been screaming Matt Stafford needed a team for years. For years, I've called Matt Stafford that guy. Iron Man.
Who are you taking that game in the San Fran?
Oh, I'm sorry. I took San Fran. I didn't say that. You're right.
Okay.
I'm on the 49ers in that one. I'll never pick the Eagles unless it's like a clear-cut thing. The Rams are going into Indy. Stafford and the Rams looked different last week. They're well-oiled machine. That guy, Stafford, is just a great quarterback, man. And now he's got weapons, tons of weapons, and it's just looking like fun out there for him. Indy's a pretty good defense. They didn't look great last week. They kind of, they broke. They started out strong. They broke. But I got the Rams going into Indy. I'm going Rams. I'll get East pick, but who you got?
Yeah, I got Rams as well. I don't think Stafford's a great quarterback. I think that he's pretty good. But you're right. I mean, he has tons of fucking weapons on his team and a good defense on top of that. It's not like a Kansas City where the offense is the defense kind of thing, So yeah, so I think that I think the Rams could be a problem this year. So I got them.
All right, we got the Rams across the board. The Raiders going into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh started slow last week, ended up pulling it together. Same thing with the Raiders. So Raiders going into Pittsburgh, 1:00 game. E chose Pittsburgh.
I'm going Pittsburgh as well. I feel like I've never believed in Derek Carr. I don't know why the Raiders do, and I don't think he's the quarterback for them. So I'm gonna go Pittsburgh here, and also Oakland needs. They don't really have much happening in their running back spot as well. They got problems there too. So I'm gonna go Pittsburgh on this one.
Yeah, that's a good call, man. Josh Jacobs is out. They're saying Peyton Barber might be the guy, but you never know. It could be your guy, Kenyon Drake. So it's tough, and they don't really have they need a number one wide receiver out there for Carr. To me, Waller is their number one wide receiver, but he's a tight end. He lines up in different sets and stuff. But I think if they had a number one wide receiver in addition to him, I think we could see a lot better with Carr. Henry Ruggs needs to make that step forward this year. He's fast. He's young. He's got to step it up. Bengals going into Chicago. Chicago's defense didn't look like Chicago's defense from the last 2 years, man. And the Bengals, Jamar Chase, all that bullshit he had in preseason, he started to look a little bit better in that game. So, what you got?
And what's his face? The quarterback,
Burrow.
He looked good too. Like especially coming back from season-ending injury. So I'm gonna. Shit. I was about to say Bengals, and right when I'm getting ready to say this, my mind's kind of like,
It's hard, right?
Yeah. Fuck, I'm gonna go Bengals. I'm going Bengals.
He went with the Bengals, man, and this is an Andy Dalton revenge game. I'm gonna go Chicago. I don't feel good about it because it is Andy Dalton. But I'm gonna go with him, man. I'm gonna go with him. It's a home game, so we'll see.
Yeah. The difference, I think, though, like when you think about a Dalton, right? Especially like you his longevity, how long he's been in the league, like when we got Ryan Fitzpatrick in Miami, I thought like we're gonna be okay because like this guy can make shit happen even with not great players, and he did in Miami. Andy Dalton's not that kind of veteran. I don't look at him thinking like, man, at least they got a veteran back there. He can make some shit happen.
Right. Yeah. He didn't look good at all.
Hopefully he don't fuck it up.
He didn't look good at all last week, and the last thing he needs is to come out sluggish this week because he can get pulled out in front of his old team, man. It's very possible. So
and, I mean, even in our fantasy draft, Steve, like that was the whole reason I took what's his name? Logan the tight end I got. I think
Thomas.
Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
That's the reason I took him. I was like, I mean, it's Washington, but he got Fitzpatrick back there. So this guy should be he should be good for me this season. And then Fitzpatrick went down. I'm like, fuck. So, but I don't get those vibes from Dalton.
No, not at all. Not trust me. And he was a Cowboy last year, so I can tell you, your vibes are right. Let's look at what do we have next? So that's Cincy. Cincy for you and E, Chicago for me. Houston found a way to pull it out against Jacksonville. Tyrod trying to make a name for himself. They're going into Cleveland.
Man, for this one, I like what I saw out of Houston last week, but they also were playing Jacksonville. This Cleveland team, I since you made that prediction, I'm feeling that, and seeing what they did with KC last week, I think Cleveland gets it done.
Yeah, I'm on Cleveland. E's on Cleveland, and the one thing I didn't talk about when you brought up Cleveland earlier is they did that without Odell. They kept pace with Kansas City, so
he's not playing today as well. But you're absolutely right on that point.
Yeah, it remains to be seen if he's going to be a headache when he gets back or not, but we'll see. Yeah. The Saints going into Carolina, divisional game. Jameis looked good, man.
Yeah.
Jameis looked good. E, you got the Saints. E went with did he leave them? Oh, he went with Carolina. All right. So E went Carolina. You're going New Orleans. It's a tough one, man. I'm gonna go solely based off of quarterback. I'm gonna go with the Saints. I don't believe in the Panthers, but McCaffrey can potentially get it done. We'll see. See. Vikings had a tough start last week. They're going into Arizona, who had a hot start last week.
Yeah, I hate that. I feel like Arizona's a trap game for me. It just never goes the way I predict. I picked them to lose, they win. I picked them to win, they lose. But yeah, I'm gonna go Arizona here. I think I don't think Kyler Murray's like the quarterback long. So I look at him like a Cam situation. Like remember when Cam was new and like people didn't know how to plan for him. He's running over everybody and all these. Yeah, I think Kyler Murray is still in that kind of phase of his career. But I think at some point teams are gonna figure him out and start shutting that shit down. And but for right now, I think they still get it done. So I go Arizona.
Yeah, I think he's just faster. He's faster than a lot of these guys, and it's working.
It's absolutely. So it makes him harder to tackle.
And smaller, yeah. So it's working for him.
4-3 or something. So
I got Arizona this week as well. Atlanta going into the Bucks.
I'm gonna go Bucks on this one. I don't even think it's gonna be close.
Yeah, there's no conversation really to
Fox for putting this game on TV instead of the Dolphins game.
I mean, you live in Florida.
Yeah, but I mean, Tampa Bay versus Atlanta, like, come on.
And the Dolphins game is at 1. It's not on TV anywhere. No. The Bucks game is the Bucks game is 4.
Oh, okay. Well,
so you might find it.
The thing I read said that Fox chose not to put the Dolphins game on. So that's why I was looking into getting the ticket. That's what made me start looking into that. Was that I saw that report from a sports reporter I follow for the Miami Herald, who was saying it's only going to be on TV in Miami and Florida.
So the 1:00 Fox game, they're probably for us. We'll probably see it. Because I'm looking at the other Fox games: San Fran and the Eagles, the Rams and the Colts could be a potential, but I don't think. And then Cincy and the Bears. and the Saints in Carolina. So those are the 1:00 Fox games, the CBS games. There's a few of them as well, but locally by market, we might get the Dolphins. We might get the Bills Dolphins. And then the 4:00 Fox is for us is going to be Tampa, no doubt. All three of us went Tampa. Tennessee going into Seattle. Tennessee started off slow last week, didn't run the ball much at all, and consequently took a loss. And Seattle came out. Russ was cooking like he always does at the beginning of the year. So what do you think?
So just to confirm on the Dolphins game, it's not on TV. At 1:00, Fox is going to be showing drag racing, and that'll be on until the 4:00 game, which is the Atlanta Tampa Bay game. And then
look at that.
CBS is giving us Denver and Jacksonville.
Okay.
And then they got Cowboys Chargers at 4 on CBS. But yeah, that's why I was looking into the ticket, was when I first heard that news from the Miami Herald guy. Seattle and Tennessee. I'm gonna roll Seattle on this one.
Seattle for you. E went with Seattle. Yep, E went with Seattle. I'm going Tennessee. You know, I always go with not always, but I tend to go with Tennessee. I like them, and I think there's going to be some bounce back for Julio this week. I have Dallas. They're going into the Chargers.
Same
this week. You have Dallas. E is going with the Chargers. Shocker. And then 8:00 game, 8:20 game tonight is Kansas City going into Baltimore.
This matchup isn't what it was, 2 years ago. So I'm gonna go KC here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all on KC. Let me just check E's pick real quick. Yeah, he's got KC. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not what it is, and Lamar he can't get it done in prime time. Lions tomorrow, Monday night game, is the Lions going into Green Bay.
I'm gonna go Ron on this one.
GB.
Yep.
All right. E went GB as well. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I'll go with the Packers. There's just no way that Aaron Rodgers is gonna come out and allow them to beat him up 2 weeks in a row. He's too cocky for that. The Thursday game, E did not give his pick yet. I'm pulling that up now to see who plays this Thursday. It is the Panthers. Oh my God, shitty game. Panthers and the Texans.
Fuck. I'm gonna go Texans, but I may change it after I watch today.
All right. I got Carolina. And we'll check with E and EJ throughout the week. All right. Picks are in. Lock, sealed. One real quick. What's your bold prediction for today? Player or team?
Bold prediction today. I think that well, this kind of goes against my pick, but Atlanta has a day today and shoves it up Brady's ass.
All right, that's bold. That is bold. All right, my bold prediction for today. My bold prediction for today, I got Matt Stafford throwing for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Man, Matt's doing that though.
350 and 5 against the Colts, who are supposed to be who are a really good defense on the road.
You got a squad now, so I can see it.
Yeah, maybe that's not bold enough. That may not be bold enough. Let me give you another one. Just to be spiteful to E. Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one. All right, I got Buffalo winning the game, but I got Tua going for 300 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I say that's bold because Tua.
That's
I don't
bold.
think he's thrown over 250 since becoming the starter, and I don't think he's had a 2 touchdown receiving game in his career yet. He's had 2 touchdowns, but it's been like 1 throwing, 1 running. So I don't think he's had more than 1 throwing. So
I think they need that to win. In order for them to win, I think they're going to need that type of game to keep pace with that offense potentially. So unless the defense shows up,
man. And for me, like just as a fan, when anytime Tua's outside of the pocket, I hold my breath. I'm just like, because
after what we saw with Dak,
yeah, you just never know, man. And then he already had that injury. He had some injury history in college, so it's like Shannon Sharp always says, hurt in college, hurt in the pros. So
yeah.
So I get nervous anytime he runs. And then last week, man, he went on the run. He went on a nice little run, like 15 yards or so. And then he went to slide. And I saw that and I said, I hope they working on that in practice this week, because that shit looked awful when he slid. Like he was going to hurt himself trying to slide.
They got to bring a baseball player in.
Yeah.
That's what they said they did for Kyler Murray. That's why Kyler Murray be sliding like 7 yards. I mean, additionally, he was a baseball player, in school. So, but they said they brought in baseball players to teach him how to slide as well. And that dude, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
in that sense.
It's funny how the sports kind of collaborate with each other. Like I remember watching Hard Knocks when Dak first hurt his whatever it was, and the team doc was like, "Yeah, we've been talking to the doc on the Yankees." And he said they see this all the time with the pitchers, so we got to just do da da da. And Jerry was like, "Well, I'm glad you're talking to the people you're talking to, then that puts me at ease." And so that kind of crossover is crazy, like how it happens. You wouldn't think that normally, given that it's 2 different sports, but apparently that happens a lot.
The shoulder injury, right?
Mm-hmm. When Dak first got hurt that first episode of Hard Knocks.
Yep. All right, man. I think that covers everything for us for today. We're very close to kickoff. Actually 1 minute until kickoff. Hope you got your lineup in. I'll hand it over to you to get us up out of here.
Everybody, we definitely appreciate you guys joining us today for this episode of the CastWorthy podcast. If you listen live, if you listen whenever this episode posts, we definitely appreciate you taking the time to listen to us talk about what we're talking about. Vaccinations. I hope that you get vaccinated. I hope that you're getting your vaccine information from credible sources and not from any celebrity's Twitter feed or anything like that. Maybe from places that have like .org, .edu, or .gov. And not Twitter. So so please look for good resources for vaccine information. Wear a mask. Try to socially distance if you can, and be safe out there. As always, you can find us on all podcasting platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Plus. You want to watch the podcast and listen, you can check out the YouTube channel. You can just search at CastWorthy. On any of our social media, we can be found at CastWorthy. On Instagram, it's at CastWorthy_podcast. Regardless of where you check us out, please leave us a like. It helps to the podcast to reach more people. Drop us a comment. You can share, follow, tell a friend. Let's help grow the audience. And again, as always, we appreciate you spending some time with us, and we will see you on the next episode of the CastWorthy podcast. Peace.